Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knatters. I am Jennifer and this is my knitting and nattering video podcast. Welcome to 2023. You've probably been here a while, but it is my first update in quite a while. 2 months, I think. I haven't updated since early November. I have really missed this, but my life has been a wee bit on the hectic side and I got my annual chest infection. That's always fun. So I wasn't able to record a podcast for a while. Today, as you might be able to infer, today is the 17th of January and my kids are having a snow day from school. If you're new here, hi, I'm Jennifer. And I'm an American living in northern Scotland with my husband, 2 children, and 3 cats in descending order of height. And yeah, my 2 kids, it's a snow day. They closed all the schools and a lot of the shops and everything. Scotland is not meant for this kind of snow. Or maybe it's meant for this, but we haven't had it in a while. I don't know. I've lived here. This is my 13th winter. And this is the first time I have seen this kind of snow. There was a light dusting yesterday morning. It has snowed off and on all day yesterday. It snowed off and on so far all day today. Just like a few minutes ago when I started the podcast, I'm in the conservatory and you can see all the snow on the roof and some of it fell. It made a big loud thump and I was like, oh my goodness. And I was quite startled. So if that happens again, I'm sure I will jump. The sun is out just right now and I keep being distracted because I can see the shadows on the wall and like birds fly by and stuff. So I will try to look at you and not at all the random other things going on around us. It actually snowed a lot in December. There was a little over a week in December where we had lots of snow and it stayed well below freezing. And I was sad. This isn't life update. This is tangentially everything is life update, but this is weather update and why I haven't podcasted update. I was really sad because I didn't get a chance to podcast and I thought, oh no, we finally, we had snow for once. Scotland doesn't get a ton of snow. We normally measure snowfall in millimeters. It's not Scotland in general. Here in Inverness, we measure snowfall in millimeters. And I was just like, oh no, we missed it. I didn't record then. I didn't really get any good videos. I don't even remember what videos I took. It's been so long. And yeah, it snowed again. And even though my kids have a snow day and are probably going to interrupt constantly wanting me to do things for them, I'm really tired of people wanting me to do things for them, which is one of the reasons I needed to do this, even though they're home, but I had to do it. I had to show you our beautiful snow and some finished knitwear because I have finished some knitwear. So yeah, that's a whole long blah blah to start with, to say hi. If you're a new viewer, thank you for checking me out. I hope you like what you see. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back to hang out with me. This really is very important self-care for me. And I hadn't done it in a while, and it was a contributing factor to me feeling very stressed in the last wee while. So hopefully we can have a big long blether, not so long that everyone gets bored and tunes it out, and do this more regularly and feel more like myself again. I have my tea. I have a very milky cup of, I don't know, Snowball? Is that possibly? It's a bird and blend. It tastes chocolatey and coconutty, so Snowball sounds about right, I think. And I think it might be getting a little darker again. Hard to tell. Or maybe the sun just moved fully behind a tree. Yeah, bird and blend. It's one of I did the tea club last year and I don't drink the rooibos, so I'd never done it before because there's no rooibos free tea club. And I mean, when I say I don't drink it, I mean, I really, I've accidentally brewed rooibos not knowing that that's the tea bag I had was a Rooibos one, and I had to pour it out outside and take the tea bag outside and put it directly in the compost because it really does not work for me. I'm very glad other people like it. I know other people who do like it, so I had been stashing it, and then because like when you order from Bird and Blend, sometimes you get a sample, and when the samples were Rooibos, I would just set them aside to give to the friends who I know like it. But it turns out my husband likes it, and when I learned that last year with the Christmas Advent calendar, sorry, 2 years ago, Christmas Advent calendar, the 2021 one, I was like, oh, then we can get the tea club because someone will drink the Rooibos. So yes, that was my plan. So this is one of the Christmas teas that came in the probably December, either November or December box of teas. Ooh, holding that actually feels really nice on my hands. I had the heat on in here. The radiator's going, the whole house, the heat's on. But I had the space heater on, and it said it was 12 degrees in here. I let it run for, I don't know, 45 minutes when I was getting ready, and it still said 12 degrees in here. I put my hand in front of it. I'm like, I can't really feel the warmth. And then I got really close. I'm like, oh no, warmth's coming out. It's just cooling down a lot. So I'm holding my tea. I planned ahead. I've got on a thermal turtleneck. I don't usually care for turtlenecks, and I didn't wear them from using years. Like, I don't even like crew necks really. I need a scoop or a V or something. And I realized the back of my neck and right here gets really, really cold. So I was wearing cowls, and then I bought this, going into this winter, I bought some mock turtlenecks, and then this is my one, a thermal proper turtleneck. And then over that, I have a wool thermal top. So 2 thermal tops, and then a very warm, that was interruption number 2, since one happened right before I hit play. So now both children know I'm out here and I'm doing this, and I can only hope they will leave me alone. That was the older one. I have 2 children. One just turned 6 and one will turn 10 next week. And the 10-year-old was asking if she could come and sit and watch me do, I want to do the video with you. And I'm like, but you asked me not to put any pictures of you or anything, like to stop including you in the video. And she's like, well, I'll just sit and watch. And I'm like, fine. If you have the sound off on your pad, you can sit over there. There's 2 settees out here. And then she announced that it was cold and left. So as I was saying, yes, it's cold out here. Thermal turtleneck. Wool thermal layering piece. Is this it's not a scoop. Yeah, it's just kind of like a low crew neck. And then my wool jumper, which is my first finished object. This is an Aran weight. It's Jamieson and Smith Aran worsted, which I think is an Aran weight worsted spun, or it could just be, the UK tends to use Aran weight and the US uses worsted weight, and one is tends to be slightly heavier than the other. Possibly getting this backwards. Could be the entirely other way, but worsted is also a way of spinning. There's woolen spun and worsted spun, and I think woolen is where you comb all of the fibers to make them really smooth, like for a sock yarn, or a lot of like the merinos are really smooth yarns. And then there's worsted where you don't, and then you get a really fluffy, airy, lighter yarn that traps warmth and is like, it has a little halo, so it makes better color work, better being a judgment value that you don't have to agree with. Yeah, so anyway, it's called Aran worsted. I don't know if it's an Aran or worsted. I think it's worsted spun. But I had, this is, I think it's indigo, and then probably snaw, which is the Scots word for snow. It is so pretty outside. Let me see if I can move the camera. I mean, I just I am from California originally, and while California does definitely have places where it snows a lot, I am not from one of them. And I think snow is magical, and I think this much snow is just absolutely entrancing. I am over the moon, especially since today I don't have to go out in it. Yesterday I had to do the school run, and that was less fun. Excuse me, but yeah, if the schools hadn't closed today, I was gonna say no, because my little one yesterday, I sent her in waterproof trousers and a big puffy coat and her snow boots and a hat and mittens. And when I went to pick her up, she was wearing the hat, or no, she was wearing the coat, unzipped, and the snow boots, and telling me that her trousers were all wet. And I'm like, did you not wear the snow trousers when you went outside? And she's like, no, it was too much trouble. And then, like, your clothes are wet and there's no way to dry them off. She does have a change of clothes in her bag, but no one was saying, like, if your clothes are wet, change your clothes. I understand there's a lot of kids, but also at the same time, probably all of the 6-year-olds, 5 and 6-year-olds in P1 are kind of in the same boat, possibly, or a lot of them. So I was just gonna be like, no, even if they mostly just played and stuff today, I'm sure she would just get wet and then not be able to dry out properly, and then your immune system is exhausted. Your body's too exhausted from trying to keep you warm to properly do your immune system, and then she'd get COVID again, or I don't know. Lord only knows. I was gonna call her out anyway. Also, the snow is like 6 inches deep out there, and she's not that tall. And walking through the snow when you have short little legs is actually really hard. I mean, Chris, my husband, works in an office in the garden, and he's been tromping in and out like, because it doesn't have plumbing, so he has to come in to use the loo and eat and stuff. This is going to be the most rambly podcast I have ever done. If that's not your thing, I mean, probably my channel is not for you, frankly. This is excessive, but I'm always one of the rambly people with no set map that I stick to clearly. I do sometimes write out notes, but right now I can't remember. I haven't seen my notebook in a number of months. And I don't want to just start a new notebook, but at this point I probably should. Like, I should just accept. Anyway, Jamieson and Smith, Aran worsted. And this is, I think I looked it up when the project came out in 2018. And I feel like I had some of the yarn from 2016 because I got it to knit the blue to knit a scarf, a really pretty scarf in the first year of Techniques, the Yarn Color for a year of Techniques. It was gorgeous and I enjoyed knitting it and I liked the yarn and it was a lot of fun. And after a while I accepted that I was never going to wear it. It just wasn't something that fit into my life and my wardrobe. So I bought more of the blue and the white with an eye to doing this pattern. And I bought it in stages, but it kind of all matched and stuff. So I finally knit Karie Westermann's Vinterskov, which is the Danish word for night forest, I think. It sounds to me like it should be, you know, winter night, but what do I know? Night forest, I think, is what it is. I don't speak Danish, I'm sorry. It is this gorgeous yoked jumper with the snow and the trees. And yeah, Karie Westermann has been surprised that people have knit it as like a Christmas jumper. I have been wanting to knit it to have as a Christmas jumper because I am unhappy, I think I talked about this in my last podcast, when I was casting it on and just starting it, that a lot of the Christmas jumpers I've been able to buy here have been acrylic, and like they felt soft enough when I bought them, but you wash them once or twice and then like they're plasticky and icky and blah 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 blah. And I really hate the disposable nature of the Christmas jumpers, which we don't have it in the US, or at least we didn't 13 winters ago when I left. It may have spread by now. It wasn't a thing having a like we don't have Christmas jumper day or any of that kind of stuff. So buying the Christmas jumpers, I was delighted. We do have Christmas jumpers because my mother has always had tacky Christmas jumpers, but like people didn't wear them ironically. It was just, like really kitschy. I don't know what I'm saying. So I want nice wool jumpers, and this is one that would work as a Christmas jumper, but it's really low key and it's just snow and winter. And I do like the irony of Karie Westermann designing snow jumpers, since her brand is very much that she hates snow. Having moved from Denmark to Scotland, which one presumes is a place where it snows more, to a place where it snows less, she's always like, no snow, no snow. I hate snow. And yeah, I don't think they've got this as far down as Glasgow, but I think today it is supposed to snow there a little bit. But when you live in a city, it melts faster anyway because the ambient air temperature from all the buildings. I've got forests along here. The ambient air temperature in my garden and at my house is a lot lower than most of Inverness even. So yeah, Vinterskov. I cast it on and I wanted to knit a jumper in November, which used to be a thing. It used to be like NaNoWriMo, National Knit a Sweater Month, which I think has been superseded in the knitting community by the modern daily knitting bang out a sweater in February and a lot, but they all do the same one, and it tends to be a really like bulky or Aran, or I know last year they did Let Lopey. I think it was last year. Knit a jumper in a month really quickly. I did not finish this in a month because first, when I cast on for the body, I feel like I knit the sleeves first. I knit the sleeves. I knit one sleeve until I ran out of wool, because I was using one of the balls I'd unraveled from the scarf. So I knit one sleeve till I ran out of wool, and then I washed and blocked it while knitting the second sleeve, so the sleeves would match. Sleeves can be, like if your sleeves are a little bigger or a little smaller, sleeves have a bit more wiggle room. And then I used that as a gauge swatch, the first one. And once that had dried and blocked and I was able to get a gauge swatch from it, and I'd finished the second sleeve, I cast on for the body, making great progress. I'm chugging along, doing really well. And then I got to the waist shaping, and the waist shaping says knit so many stitches, decrease, do so many stitches, decrease, blah, 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 blah. Excuse me. Oh, I think it was knit, place marker, knit, And I realized that I had the wrong number of stitches. I'm like going through the maths over and over again. And I double checked, and I was supposed to cast on 230 something stitches, and I'd cast on 320 something stitches. So I had over 100, maybe exactly 100. I had, I don't know, 90, I guess is what that works out to be. I had 90 extra stitches, which is a lot of knitting. So I pulled it all out, and I'd been spit splicing it as I went. And I wound up with a ball of yarn that was, the size of a small watermelon or a large cantaloupe, or, like basically one of my children's heads if it was completely round. A huge ball of yarn. So then I had to cast it on again and reknit it, and it went a lot faster, both because I didn't have to do as many stitches in a round, but also just like it fit better on my circular cable. So I knit round and round and round and round and got back to the waist shaping and made it a fair bit further up, and I was getting close to the color work and realizing I had like 5 balls of the white and 2 5 skeins of the white and 2, like they come in little balls. 5 white, and I only had 2 blue left. And I'm like, I'm not gonna have enough. So I asked online if anyone still had any of the blue, because I'm pretty sure I bought it in a clearance sale, my extra colors that Jamieson and Smith did years ago. And I don't know if they were clearing out old dye lots or they were discontinuing the colors, but they still had them online, so they weren't being discontinued entirely. And like one person in the US still did, someone in Australia. And I'm like, honestly, it'll be faster and cheaper and more carbon neutral for me to order it from Shetland than it is for you to send it. Like if I order it and it is such a different dye lot that I absolutely cannot work it in, even with it being under the color work, which would kind of disguise a color shift. You know, like maybe we can talk then. And someone else thought she might have some in a deep stash. But I ordered some from Jamieson and Smith. And then another friend pointed out that they still had my dye lot listed on Wool Warehouse, because Wool Warehouse lists dye lots when you're ordering it. They always have a drop-down menu where you can pick a dye lot if you need to. And I thought, okay, well, if Wool Warehouse still has the dye lot, then there's a chance that Jamieson and Smith still has that same dye lot. And if not, and it doesn't match, then at least I have somewhere else I can buy where I know it's the same dye lot. But it came, and it was in fact still the same dye lot. They must have ordered so much of this at one time if they're still, like, I got the first of this for the 2017 knit along. It was like the October pattern that year. So from 2017 to 2023, I was able to get, no, not 2023, 2022, I was able to get the same dye lot. So I was really happy, and I finished the jumper and I had yarn left over. If you can't tell, I wore this a lot when it was snowing and then a bit over Christmas, and now I've pulled it out again to wear again. I have not yet seamed up the underarms. There's a little bit of pilling. It is a very sheepy wool. With Shetland wool, I expect a little bit of pilling, and then you depill it, and then very, very little pilling going forward. So I had some wool left over, and I wanted to use it up. So I cast on some mittens, with the white being the main. These are the Super Speedy Selbu mittens by Ellie. I don't remember her last name. Skeindeer knits here on YouTube and pattern designing, and I think her patterns are currently only available on Ravelry. I know she is working on her own web page. She's also, when Ravelry and the pandemic went crazy, as a immigrant living without family in the UK, she's from Norway, so Selbu mittens are her local. Can you see where I switched the dominant hand for my yarn colors? I fixed it on the colorwork side, but I did not fix it on the palm side because I wasn't bothered. But the white stitches are dominant in that row, whereas the blue ones are dominant in every other row. And it absolutely shows up on the camera, but it does not affect the wear at all, so I didn't bother fixing it. And she was working on her PhD thesis at the time and defending it and everything. So my whole, like, if you're a designer and you only sell on Ravelry, like, why? She's genuinely said she's getting to the point where she can do it now, but at the time she did not have the mental bandwidth to do anything really. But yeah, Super Speedy Selbu mittens, knit in Jamieson and Smith, Aran worsted. They have been used. I used them both when it was really snowy before because it was too snowy and icy to ride the bikes. We were walking and I was wearing my mittens. And yesterday when I did the school run, I went ahead and just wore the mittens because I couldn't find the ski gloves that I stole from my husband that he bought the one time he went skiing long before I met him. I love them. They are so nice and they're really warm. And if you leave them on the radiator, then they stay warm on your hands. They're all toasty. So yeah, I knit those and they are delightful and I am delighted. And then I still had a little bit of yarn left over. So I cast on and did not particularly work on. This is a balaclava and it is not the Petite Knits one. Let's have a Petite Knit tangent. I have never knit anything by Petite Knits and I don't tend to think of her as a, like when you say you're knitting a Petite Knits designer, I know she now is working on extending her size ranges to be more size inclusive. But when I first heard her name and her designs, they were not. So in my mind, like she's still like, oh, Petite Knits doesn't do sizes that fit me. And I know she does. And I absolutely think that you should support designers who have gone on to become more size inclusive. But for me, I just have that association. So I hear Petite Knits and I'm like, oh, it's not for me. But the reason I'm not doing Petite Knits balaclava is because I looked at the pattern description. I want this for like when I'm riding the bike, so it's all on my face and up and I can put the helmet on over and, you know, my ears and my neck and everything, as opposed to having to wear a cowl and then have that over the hat. And then I thought a balaclava would be really useful for the really cold, icy days. But the Petite Knit one says that it has a feminine fit, so it's back from the face and the ears. And I know I'm saying that in the fluty way now. If I'm wearing a balaclava, I don't want it back from my face. I want it, you know, keeping me warm. So yes, that is why when I was searching for balaclavas in this weight yarn, hers certainly came up and I was like, no. And I wound up buying one from a Scandinavian designer who only has 1 or 2 patterns, and I don't remember her name, or because I'm bad at that kind of stuff. But I wound up buying that one, but I'd originally been like, no, I won't buy it because it's bottom up and I don't know how much yarn I have. So if I do top down, then I can kind of just make the cowl part bigger. And then I forgot that was the reason I'd said no, so I wound up buying it. So it's kind of, that's part of the reason. Also, it warmed up a lot. It was going from having been like daily highs of -4 to daily lows of 6. I didn't need a balaclava for a while there. But it's cold again, so maybe I will pick that up and work on it because I don't really like being cold. Sitting here, oh, I talked about what I had on top. My bottom half, I have thermal leggings with yoga trousers over them, cashmere socks that Santa got me for Christmas. Thanks, Santa. In my stocking, Santa gives everybody socks. Brilliant. A hot water bottle at my feet, and 2 wool blankets on my lap, and then another blanket wrapped around my feet to trap the heat there. So yeah, it's a bit cold out here for just sitting still. Probably, I mean, 12 degrees in March. 12 degrees is a day when you open up all the windows and, you know, let the fresh air in and go outside without a hat for the first time. 12 degrees when you're just sat in the conservatory and everything is covered in snow and the floor is freezing is a lot less warm. I'm just looking at what I have to talk about next. I have an interruption. I have another finished object. I did the Gnome along. Oh, I forgot one of the hats. This is Gnova, and Gnova has an under hat. We finally know what gnomes wear under their, I can't really say Gahat, can I? Gnome has a nose and a beard and an under hat, which is what gnomes wear under their hats so that they're not naked. And Gnome has a bag. I need to block it on like some little plastic, like Lego bricks or something to give it a good shape. And then Gnome came with 3 hats. This is the blue pointy one, and Gnome has a scarf. And Gnome came with 3 hats, so I knit another Gnome who doesn't have a nose or a beard yet. And I think we'll need a scarf in a different color. And I was playing Yarn Chicken. I ran out of the green just where it turns to the under hat. Oh, I haven't, how embarrassing, I haven't woven that end in yet. So I made a different color under hat, and this Canova is wearing this hat. There's also supposed to be tassels. I haven't done the tassels yet, but this Canova needs a beard and a nose, and then I was thinking the scarf, but in different colors. She's been wearing it just for now, but it's not really a very good contrast for her body. The pinks are Felt Fiber Fusion, I think. There's 2 different pinks. And the blues are the Lonely Knitter. And the teal, I think, is Giddy Yarns, but it might be My Mama Knits. I don't remember. It was a lone ball that had already been used in the Scrappy Blanket. I don't think you can even see that. My Cozy Memories blanket back there. So it didn't have any ball band. Oh, why do you have that over your nose? That's silly. Silly Ganova. So I've knit 2. I hope to knit a 3rd. I heard a door, so I'm just looking to see if my husband is coming. And these are just some store-bought gnomes. They're Christmassy ones, but I like them, so I haven't put them away yet. Hello, it has been a little while. I've drunk an entire other cup of tea. I had the 2nd brew of the Snowball, and now I'm having Eton Mess. Fun fact, Eton Mess, another name for Brexit. This is a fruit infusion, and they say not to serve it with milk, but I like milk, and it tastes like ice cream if you add milk. Although I'm pretty sure it's going to taste a lot like ice cream anyway, because meringue and strawberry and cream is kind of an ice cream flavor profile. I just like the creaminess that the milk has. I'm suddenly very tired. Watered the plants because I was waiting for my husband to go back to his office before I sat down again, because otherwise he'd come through and I'd just have to pause. And then after a while I was sat out here, I realized his shoes are gone and now his slippers are by the door. So at some point he snuck out, and I just, must have been when I was going to the toilet or something, and I just missed him. So I'm tired. It's a lot later. I think I started this, it's almost 2 o'clock, and I started this a little afternoon. So yeah, there have been a fair number of interruptions. I did have both cats for a while. That was nice, both cats. Didn't get videos of it though. I've kind of lost my train of thought. I've added a hat because I was fine when I was sat out here. I mean, my hair was wet. It's dry now, I think. But when I went in the house, my head was feeling cold. So I have added a hat. This is Baskerville, I think, by Karie Westermann, an Old Maiden Aunt DK. I think the color's Midnight. I'm a bit vague on the details at this point. Yeah. I think I had just finished talking about my gnomes. My gnomes. Oh, I got gnomes. Well, the hat's on now, back to front. When she has a nose and a beard, it'll be a lot easier to tell the front from the back, and then I won't be showing you the color jogs, which aren't too bad, but you know, there we go. So I knit those. I knit a little ornament, and I knit one for a friend, and I don't have the Christmas stuff out, except I noticed that I still have like a little reindeer and sleigh and a Santa figure on the shelf above the microwave. So I don't have all the Christmas decorations gone yet. And I mean these two, but they're not, they're winter decorations is what they'll be. So yeah, the ornaments, hopefully I've cleverly put in a picture. And ooh, I have another finished object. This one did not require a lot of knitting. You will be embarrassed for me when you hear how much knitting I had to do. I finished a pair of Christmas socks and I have worn them. All they needed was to pick up the stitches and knit the heels. They already had the toes and the cuffs, and I put them away last winter because I wasn't interested in finishing a pair of Christmas socks once it was past Christmas. Now they have heels and I could wear them. This is West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. I think the contrast red is Cherry Drop. I have a couple of their reds and I'm never quite sure. This red is looking different from the Gnome red. I have a couple different reds. One of them was a Christmas red, one of them is their standard red. I color matched to the red in here. I think these are Faerie Lights, which was the color from a couple years ago. The one last year was Vintage Tinsel. This year is Gingerbread. Gingerbread had a lot of gingerbread stripes. It was like this, but it had gingerbread stripes in it, I think. And so this was knit with 50 grams of the Christmas colorway and then the heels, toes, and cuffs, because the other 50 grams were already a pair of socks that I knit a while back. And this has, I think it's spearmint or peppermint or apple. I don't know. It's a green color and it's the green that matched the other stripes. So from a 100-gram ball plus extras, I got 2 full pair of socks, and now they live in my sock drawer. The thing I have realized about knitting Christmas socks at this point is that they're not warm enough. I really, in the winter, want to wear DK socks. I know lots of people wear their 4-ply socks in the winter, and those are their warm socks. For me, they're kind of an early autumn, late spring, and when it is properly cold, I want my 6-ply or 8-ply, my sport or DK socks. So I need Christmas colors in heavyweight socks. I do have a pair of red socks, a pair of green socks, and then with the leftovers of those, I knit a pair of mismatched elf socks. So I do have some properly, the elf socks are the Christmas ones, but I can wear the red ones and the green ones and feel festive. But I don't have proper Christmas self-striping or other colorway yarns. So yeah, I need to stop buying the pretty 4-ply Christmas yarns, which I have several in my stash right now, but I need to do the words. I need words. I need DK weights. So if you're a yarn dyer and you want to do a Christmas color, put it on a DK sock base and then let me know. Or don't. Or, you know, live your own best life. Whatever helps. It is snowing again. That's the other thing, is it snowed a whole bunch and then it stopped snowing and more snow fell off the roof. That was when the cats were here and they both got really scared and almost ran away. I think that's it for finished objects. So we have a half-finished object. Where did you go? Oh, you're up here. Ta-da! Speaking of DK weight socks, This is Ripplecraft's double reliable sock yarn. As you can see, it's kind of done its own micro striping, slightly flashing. I did a toe-up sock with a non-afterthought, non-forethought, just a short row heel. I did garter because it's a bit squishier, but I really need to accept that my gauge in garter is looser than my gauge in stockinette, because every time I put garter stitch heels in, I get holes. They appear really quickly in that, and they're easy enough to darn, and you still get squishy socks, and now you've got squishy socks with extra padding at the heel, but I possibly should just stop trying with that. This yarn I bought so long ago, I can't even tell you. I have no idea what the colorway is, but I was knitting a pair of socks in this yarn when I was at the hospital waiting to go into labor, because I was going to be induced, waiting to go into labor for the one who just turned 6. And I'm pretty sure I frogged that particular iteration of the socks, which was the second iteration of using this yarn to knit socks. And at some point I cast on for a vanilla pair of socks, and when I finally picked these up, I had no idea. I mean, the needles were in it and everything, and I just went for it, and I knit, and I put a heel in, and then I knit, and put a big long cuff in. I did not do any leg shaping to increase this, because I found on some of my other ones, I feel like they're not actually snug enough. I was doing it because they seemed too snug, but now they seem too loose. Who knows? I still have a Christmas progress keeper in it, which seems to indicate that I was at I think I moved it so I could count the stitches, was why that is there, for casting on the second one, because I had no idea how many stitches would be involved. We went somewhere, I think it was a birthday party for one of Rainbow, the 6-year-old's friends, and so I made a point of finishing this sock so I could cast on this sock, and then I have gotten past the toe decreases. I will put a stitch marker there. It will go ahead and still be this Christmas one, but hopefully I will swap it out at some point. I almost put it at the toe decreases, which is what I took it off of on the other sock, because I have very little brain at this point. Have I eaten anything today? I had a cereal bar. Yeah, I had a cereal bar this morning, and I think I did have a packet of crisps. No wonder I am turning into a space cadet. Anyway, thick, warm, wintry socks on the needles. Very happy with that. Very old project bag. No idea where I got it from. Probably should wash it. It's looking a bit dingy. It's snowing again. My other new cast on. Oh, here's a sad story. At one point over the Christmas break, my husband came to me almost in tears. This is another Isolde Teague pattern, which I think is the English mitts, knit in the blend number 1, which is a beautiful yarn that I love very, very much. Both of them got felted. He had them in his pockets of his zippered hoodie, and he washed his zippered hoodie and forgot to check the pockets first. So I have given him my Joy mitts, also by Isolde Teague, that are knit in phenol. He said, don't knit me. He said these are his favorite mitts. They were so comfortable, and they're great for typing mitts, but not to knit him more like this, because he's just worried he will felt them again. So I gave him my Joy mitts, because I knit my Joy mitts in the bisexual color, which is the purple, pink, blue. My brain is melting out my ears. I was doing really well earlier, comparatively. I mean, I know I was wandering all over the place tangentially, but I feel like I had a better grasp on things then. The bi-flag colors, and he really liked the way they looked and really wanted them, and so I bought another kit because it came with the gray and then just a small amount of the colors for the color work. And there were different pride flags, and then you knit a little tag on it that is the flag colors. So I bought the kit and I thought, well, I'll do them like reverse the colors and not do the flags, so we'll be able to tell whose pair of mitts is whose. Never got around to knitting them, so now I've given them to him. And I mean, he absolutely insisted it had to be the exact same colors. I showed him the other colors. I said I could know many colors. No, it had to be those colors. He really liked the way they look. So I gave them to him and he's like, what's the tag for? And I'm like, it's the bisexual flag. And he's like, oh. So I feel like we had that conversation then, but anyway, he now has the bisexual gloves mitts. They're fingerless mitts just like this. They have the really long cuff that can fold down, so when you're typing, if you need your fingers, if you're cold, I'm gonna get interrupted again. So anyway, both of these frogged sad face. Maybe I'll wait and see if we actually get interrupted. I can hear feet out there, but that doesn't, maybe they're not coming. Speaking of Isolde Teague, I am working on a Musselburgh. I made one, a Musselburgh. Wow, these are bright. I made one for the almost 10-year-old, for Kitten. That was alpaca and merino 4-ply held together because she was going to be outside with wet hair. They had swim lessons at school and they were walking back after swimming. So outside in autumn in Scotland with wet hair. And I thought you need a really, really warm hat for that. Turns out it was unusually warm all through the period where she had the swimming lessons. And then obviously it got unusually cold. I hear the footsteps. Are they coming here or are they just running around in the kitchen? Both my husband and Kitten, no, Kitten's the older one, both my husband and Rainbow were like, I love this hat. It is so soft and snuggly. It is the best thing ever. I must have it. So I bought a kit of UV reactive neon minis at Glasgow School of Yarn and this yellow mohair to go with it. And then I realized it was mohair, not the alpaca silk, and it might be too itchy. My husband says this is fine and he's okay to wear it next to his face, but he didn't actually like do a swatch test, you know, like under a hat brim to see how it feels rubbing his head. So the other half I tried the pink with the yellow and it really didn't look good. So the other half I am doing with some black. This is the same cumulus that I used for Kitten's hat, but this is in the Gloman colorway, I think, which is just a really dark bluish gray. And I started off just holding the yarn and letting it marrow, but now I'm working on almost knitting it like it's color work so that the pink really sits more in front of the black. But anyway, now I'm doing all the cool tones that didn't go well with the yellow, and this will be the halfway point. So wearing it, you can have either what are going to be the dark colors in, the bright color out, and then folded up a bit of the dark color, or dark colors out but folding up and showing the two oranges. Anyway, he wanted very bright colors and to be visible from space. This hat will absolutely fulfill that brief. But I haven't worked on it much in the new year, partially because I did slow down when I was having to, I'm holding each strand on my fingers as if I was doing color work, and then I'm wrapping the black fuzz around and then the bright pink and the knitting, so that the black fuzz sits behind the pink on the needle. And I'm hoping that'll help. But I haven't worked on it much. I worked on that a lot over the Christmas break, but I haven't worked on it much since then because I have picked up, this is going to be crinkly, my box of rainbow minis that I have been getting for 2 years from Henny Penny Makes. She's not running that particular club this year. She's doing a different color club. But for 2 years, each month, I got a packet with 10 5-gram minis in a mixture of solids and speckles. And I've been saving them to knit a blanket. When I had just the one packet, I started a northeasterly, which I have frogged because I picked it up this year when it was just the one strand. It was about 4 inches wide. And I did the maths and it wasn't going to be enough. So I was like, do I add just random other ones from my stash? What if I do like a row for my stash and the Henny Penny row? And then it turns out that 2 aren't wide enough. So what if I just do like pinks and then the reds and then do the oranges and the yellows? And then at the end, if I need, I can add to, I like just do the 2 colors knit together in a panel and then I can add to them. I set it aside to worry about it later. I decided it was later and I've got 2 sets of the colors. So that would give me 8 inches for each color. I'm doing 10 colors because 2 of the months were brown and gray, so I'm not putting those in the blanket. But I figured that'd be perfect. Like 2 would be wide enough, and you know, if I needed to, I could add like a border in a gray or something else around the edge when the blanket was finished. Well, it still had its needles with it. It was a 2.5 Chiago, and that was on like a sock length. It was a 80 or 100 centimeter needle set, and that was too long really. So I went through my stash and came up with 2.5 millimeter Hiyas on a shorter cable. Again, longer than I need, but long enough to be comfortable knitting. And so I started the second column and was going up it a bit. And I realized my gauge had changed significantly. And now the column, same number of stitches, I did this properly, same number of stitches, same size needle. I checked, I made sure it wasn't like a US 2.5, that it was 2.5 millimeters for both of them. Everything was the same, except my gauge has tightened up. My gauge was loose. I've been working on not being so loose of a knitter. It's worked because instead of a 4-inch wide strip, I had a 3-inch wide strip. And I decided I preferred the tension of the 3-inch wide strip, and I know what needles to use and everything like that. So I pulled out the first strip of colors. And at this point, I've just completely started a new northeasterly blanket in the pink scraps from Henny Penny Makes. It's a scrappy set. They're obviously not scraps because they're all new to me. This is the first column. And I also decided last year she had the color therapy club where you could get the 10 colors for the month's theme. And she ran a chakra club in the same color theme, but then they have like rainbow speckles and stuff. So I thought I'll go ahead and put the chakras in too, and then I can do 3 columns because my blanket's now a little narrower. So 3 columns gives me 9-inch wide section for each of the 10 colors, as opposed to 2 columns being 4 inches was 8 inches for the 2. And they're then a little longer. But what I've been doing is I've been mixing the colors from the Chakra Club and the 2 years, so that there should be on average 3 of each and then an extra 1 of one of the sets. And I'm mixing up the speckles and stuff. So I started off with half of one to offset, because they're all 5-gram minis, so they're all the same size. So I started with half of one, and then I added this one from the ball I'd unwound from the first year, And then when I got to the join, I stopped and put in one of the chakra colors. And then I went back to the ball and realized it was actually a little bit more the same color. I'd originally not been sure if I was going to do different lengths of section to offset it and do it again, or I also started with a corner to corner blanket, not a corner to corner blanket, a mitered square blanket. So I think this might be how much went into the mitered square, and then this was leftover, because this one also has a knot like 2/3 of the way through the color. So yeah, I've got those. So I just have one random little bit where the color is on both sides. That's fine, I don't mind. I might even deliberately break some of the colors up and put them in different rows, because I haven't put in the other half of this one yet. But I have started my second row with this really bright pink. And part of the reason I did that is because I noticed the first year's colors were more cool tone and the second year's colors were a little warmer. So I thought I would mix them up along with some of the chakra ones. So I am one color in, and with the 3 sets of 10, that means I'm putting in 30 colors a month. So if I get all the pink ones in January, and maybe start an extra one for February, but it's almost a color a day, a 5-gram section a day. And by the end of the year, or end of October, you know, a little extra time to finish it in the year, I can have a northeasterly blanket and all of these scraps. So this is not the chakra ones, these are just the regular colors, and I have one of the red ones I pulled out because I had a color that I thought, oh, is this red or is this pink? It was a different bobbin from that I was originally going to add in, so it's just with them. So I was trying to decide if I was going to put it with the reds and the pinks. And yeah, these are the colors. It's red, orange, yellow, the 2 greens, and then it's teal, blue, indigo, violet, and purple is in one of the boxes, so you can't see it. And then the purple from last year, I haven't gotten it yet. I'm assuming it's just lost in the post. I'm pretty sure I ordered it. I know one of the other clubs she was doing at the same time has only recently gone out the December month. So, because I was ordering it in quarters, if the December one wasn't done yet, then it wouldn't have been posted yet. But here we go. So yeah, I've got the first one and I have only just started the second column, again in a neon pink. And yeah. But I do have some other sets of bobbins. And this one, they're sparkly. So at some point I'm going to put in, I think I've already pulled out the pink one. This is the red one I was trying to match. And it's basically the same shade as that. This is the sparkly one, this is the regular one. But it's maybe just the tiniest bit lighter, so maybe it is one of the pinks. Ooh, it's snowing again. I don't know if you can see that. They're big, flat, fluffy flakes. Can you see? I can hear the snow on the roof too. So yeah, northeasterly blanket. This is what I've been working on for the most part recently. And that's everything I have worked on. The other thing, this isn't an acquisition, but it will be soon. I got this from Black Isle Yarns back at Glasgow School of Yarn. It is this year's set of the Aachen Sport Weight. So clipping year, mine says clipping year 2019. Julie of, no, that's the 3-ply. It must just be an old label. Julie has been trying to contact everyone who bought the Aachen Sport at Glasgow School of Yarn because she discovered, that's where she started sewing it, instead of being the 2-ply that she ordered to match the first year, the mill accidentally spun it up as a 3-ply DK weight, and it wasn't discovered until right around Christmas time. So if you bought it in person at Glasgow School of Yarn, Julie doesn't have your contact information. She can't get a hold of you, so please email her and she can help you make sure you have enough yarn for whatever it is you want to use, or she has a whole list of things that she's doing depending on what people need to fix it. If you ordered it through her website, then she does have your contact information and could contact everybody who ordered it through the website. But buying it in person at the yarn show, you have to contact her. So yeah, I'm going to be getting a little bit more of this. But yeah, the Auckland sport weight, if you bought some at Glasgow School of Yarn and you have not already been in contact with Julie, let her know. On to acquisitions. It was Christmas and I have acquisitions. It is 2 skeins of yarn my mother sent me that she got for free in someone else's D-stash. They are both, I think the tags have fallen off. They didn't come with the tag saying what it is, but I think it's Rios. I really think it's Rios. So there's this oil slicky kind of colors, the purples, the blues, the greens on a dark black. And then this one is more yellowy greens and blues. So she sent me a skein each, and that is all the yarn I got for Christmas. Last year I had a lot more, which was basically all the yarn I had bought for like the 2 months before Christmas, and then I gave them to Chris and said, here, just give them to me from the kids and stuff. But this is all, and I think this one I'll make a cowl for me, and this one I will make another hat for Chris, because I've been knitting him. I did the worsted, the single ply of the Malabrigo. I knit him a hat in that, which was one of the Woolly Wormhead mystery knit-alongs that she'd been doing in November's. And he wore it constantly. He doesn't have a lot of hair, so he wore it inside the house all day, every day when it was colder, which is most of the year, because as I said, we've got the trees. We don't get a lot of warmth here. And he wore it so much that it slightly felted. So I knit him another one, same yarn, different color, and he still wears both of them. And the second one is starting to look really felted now. So same dye company, third color, slightly different yarn. This is the plied yarn, and we'll see how that knits up. But yeah, a cowl for me, because I've been wearing a lot of cowls, and I think a slightly narrower, I have ideas about, like, I like this cowl, except I want it to be slightly more like this cowl, which is slightly, I have a pattern picked out, I have yarn, I have a plan, but that's for later. So this is all the acquisitions I have. I didn't even have to order new yarn to change the floof color for Chris's hat, because Rainbow's hat was going to be done with the black floof, so I can just get more of that later, because she wanted black and rainbow, and now she's saying that just black is her favorite color. So I don't know what I'll wind up doing for her hat, but I don't think I'll use all of the floof, and I've got a whole other skein. It'll be enough for a hat for a 7-year-old. I'm going to pause it here. It has been another 38 minutes. I'm not going to have time for all the life. I just realized I was sat here blethering on long enough that my phone turned off because I hadn't actually hit record. This is turning into a very frustrating afternoon, even though I started with such optimism. And yeah, the only thing is I really want to talk about the last 2 months and what I've been up to, except it's tiring and frustrating. Yeah. Highlights: a bus went through our garden wall on New Year's Eve. in November I had a fever for a week, and that's why one of the 3 reasons, I mentioned the other 2 when I was talking about the jumper, that's the 3rd reason. Any one of 3 reasons, casting on the wrong size, running out of yarn, having a fever for a week, any 2 of those I still would have finished on time. The first time it was really cold, the kids were able to go sledding up and down the hill. That was nice. That was such a good, I think it was 3 afternoons they wound up doing that, and it was so good. Exactly the kind of childhood memories you're hoping your kids will make. Bus through the wall, only icy corner in Inverness. The grit driver came by half an hour after the bus went through our wall, which was the 2nd time exactly a week there'd been a crash involving a bus on that corner. And the grit driver was saying he'd spent the whole morning driving around gritting the top priority roads and had just gotten, was just now doing the 2nd level priority roads because it's a bus route, so it's a 2nd level priority road. And it was the only ice he'd encountered anywhere in Inverness. And I've been hearing that from the first crash. We had a broken car parked in front of our house over the entire Christmas holidays. And all of the delivery people who came to our house, the posties, the postie delivery parcel people, Tesco, regular parcel delivery people, the bin lorry people, the gritter guy, everyone swears this is the only place that still had ice because it had been 6 degrees overnight that night in Inverness, the official weather for Inverness. But here it was still cold enough that it had all frozen. So I have encouraged the neighbors to ask our local councillors if we can have a grit box so we can please grit, because it is frankly ridiculous. So yeah, we have a hole in our garden wall and I'm waiting. So I just got buzzed. The school has said, please check the thingy to see if there'll be school tomorrow, which they probably won't decide until tomorrow. But yeah, a grit box would be nice. And we just need, I'm waiting to hear back from the general contractor about a quote for replacing the garden wall, and then we have to send it to the Bus People's Insurance, and then they will get back to us on how much, if hopefully all of which they will pay. Rainbow turned 6. She did not have a birthday party. She wanted a birthday party at this one particular place, and I emailed them in November and said, can we schedule the party? And they said, we'll release the dates for January in December. So I contacted them in December and they're like, oh yeah, we'll put them online soon. They'll be there. And like we got to January, there's still no booking dates available online. And what I've heard is they're short a manager. So they're not running parties right now because they don't have the staffing. So I wasn't able to organize the party that Rainbow wanted. Today is the 2nd Tuesday school is back in, and there is no school today because of the snow. Last Tuesday there was no school. Like they went back to school on the Monday, and then the Tuesday was a strike day for the teachers. So I told, it wound up being 4 of Rainbow's friends and 4 of Kitten's friends came over at various points during the day. So Kitten at least got to have friends over and play games and stuff, and I don't know. I think, Rainbow got to have friends over and play games. Her birthday was the Wednesday, so it was just the day before her birthday. I think Rainbow is cursed to be one of those adults who's like, oh yeah, no, I've never had a birthday party. And everybody else is like, how have you never had a birthday party? And it'll be because her dad's not particularly social, so birthday parties aren't a thing he either wants to go to or organize. And her mom is a bit of a flibberty-gibbet to scatterbrain to manage to organize something for January that has to be organized in December while still doing any of December stuff. At least Kitten's birthday is the end of the month, so like school would start up again, and then I can worry about her birthday. I'm struggling a lot, mostly because I just never get any alone time. Even, you know, trying to sit out here for an hour and record a thing, it has been a constant stream of interruptions. I mean, it's been 3 hours since I tried to start this, and this is probably going to wind up being like a 2-hour video, but it's just, I don't know. I don't even know how much of this is usable because I've been interrupted so many times. Anyway, I am very low on emotional resilience is what I'm low on. I do love the snow. The snow makes me so happy. It is so pretty. Little one's looking for me again, so I'm going to say goodbye for now, and hopefully I can edit this together in a coherent manner. And I will talk to you later. Thank you. Bye. No, let it go. No. Don't bite my knitting. No. Milo. Please don't eat my knitting.